Hey, Mama. Welcome back to the Mom Walk Collective podcast. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Ari, and we are two moms just trying to navigate motherhood.
Okay, guys. Ari and her husband, I'm calling them out. They have an issue. Okay? We're getting real. They have an issue with chapstick. All day long, I watch them put on their chapstick back and forth, and they use the same one all the time. So I told Ari her solution, and she just keeps laughing at me. So if you're listening to this, okay, get ready for it. If you're listening and you have a chapstick addiction, you need to be putting nipple cream on your lips.
Okay, why? Why nipple cream?
Okay, I'm dead serious though. I wish I could take credit for knowing this, but nipple cream that has a lanolin base. So lanolin is made from sheep's wool, and it's a breathable like moisture thing. I don't even know moisture thing. It's like a breathable product. So coconut oil is not breathable. Vaseline, petroleum jelly, not breathable. Lanolin, aka
Breathable.
nipple cream, breathable. So there's like a bunch of like, if you're a crunchy mom, you probably know this because you probably buy from other crunchy moms who have skincare lines who do these lanolin lip balms. But if not, freaking take what you put on your nipple and just slap it on your lips. And I'm telling you, chapstick addiction broke.
Wow. So do you do this?
I do.
Like once a day, or what are we talking about?
Okay, well, I have a friend who put nipple cream into, and this isn't like, just to clarify, nipple cream as in lanolin, not like any other like concoctions or whatever. So like lanolin. She put lanolin in a lip gloss container. So I do. Oh my gosh, if you guys can only see.
My lip gloss be popping.
My lip gloss be cool. All the boys keep stopping. They chase me after school. What you know about me? What you know about me? Okay, anywho, we're done. But I'll put it on my lips and then a little slip on the nip. Just kidding. I don't do that.
All right,
Just
guys.
kidding.
We are
I don't,
moving
but
forward today.
I do use both. I use it on my lips. Okay, just anywho, we're
like
all right, yeah. All right, let's get into really what today's episode is because it's a totally different mood.
Yeah, we had to start with some laughter today, but today we are going to dig into something that is very vulnerable and very transparent and very raw for where I'm at right now. And I want to share this because I think it's really relatable to a lot of moms. And so often we hear the story after somebody's overcome something, and rarely do we get to hear it while they're having breakdowns. And although I have a little bit of eyeliner right now and I curled only the front parts of my hair, so it was presentable, today was a day of just like me breaking down and being able to cry on a dime because I am at this point in my motherhood journey, 8 months postpartum, where I'm honestly questioning, am I slipping into postpartum depression? And there's so much that I want to talk about with this and dig into. But this episode is not going to have a solution. It's not going to have like, what am I doing to like combat this? We're not there yet. We're at the point where like we're starting to question things and starting to feel that overwhelming wanting to be the best in everything you do. So being the best wife, being the best mom, being the best friend, like doing well and excelling at work, building a business, and feeling like you're not at the standard that you hold yourself to. And then just feeling like just questioning things, because depression isn't something that you can, to my knowledge, and Jamie is actually, she filled me in earlier today, but with hormone imbalances, like you can measure that. And so then you can like figure out how to balance your hormones. When I went into my doctor's office and I was questioning this before I even gave birth, just because I was trying to be prepared, they shared with me that, like, with depression and anxiety, they can't measure, they can't like scientifically diagnose you with it before they put you on medication. But it is to be thought about, like, you have a hormone imbalance. It's just in your brain. It's the neurotransmitters. And I just wish there was a clear way to like diagnose it, to like really see in your brain how this stuff is happening, so that you could feel more comfort with going on medication if that's the route that you choose.
Yeah.
So
No, it's really good. We're excited about this. I'm really, really proud of Ari just for even opening up and getting vulnerable, and then even wanting to get vulnerable so publicly. I've walked through a lot of mental health and have tried almost everything under the sun, and I'll share a little bit about mine. But I really want to start off with Ari. Could you just even first describe why you even think that you might be possibly struggling mentally? Like, what was the sign where you're like, all right, I'm not well, like I feel overwhelmed, or I feel panicked, or I feel sad? Like, if you can give some descriptive words, what would those descriptions be to make you start to think, okay, I think I need to start talking about this because these are the things that I'm feeling?
yeah. Well, I will be drinking my water a lot today because drinking on a straw helps me not cry. And today, what kind of broke me down and made me just like start questioning things is I had my performance evaluation for work, and it didn't go wrong. Nothing was bad. You know, it was actually a good review, even though I was out for most of the year last year. But it pulled on, like, we talk about things to prepare for the following year. And it was like, you know, what motivates you? What are areas you want to work on? What are areas of improvement? And it just kind of felt like there's so many areas that I need to improve. And do I even, like, how much do I want to improve for work versus how much do I want to improve in being the best mom? And I just left that review, and today was a different day than most. Ian, my husband, was going into LA for a work event, and that's not something he normally does. And so, like, I knew I was about to be alone for a couple hours with the twins, and I just broke down to him, knowing I wanted him to go to this. It wasn't like, please don't go. It was like, please go. I will figure myself out. But also, I don't feel like myself right now. And I just started crying. And then ever since that point, I just have been like, just crying randomly at dinner with my mom, crying, like, you know. And I think there's so much that I'm still trying to uncover of why I'm starting to feel like this.
Yeah.
Is it just because, like, my hormones? Jamie did call out when we talked earlier. It is my second period right now. It is that time of the month. So there could be a lot more emotions around that right now. But something that I was thinking about, and this is, I always have to add humor in, so bear with me, but I don't drink anymore. So I kind of feel like that feeling of just like inhibition might be coming from my period and not from alcohol. So it's breaking down some of the barriers that I've, like, or the walls that I've put up to function like at a high level.
Yeah. No, I think it's really relatable. It's Um, I think at least I know me and you can only speak from being new moms. Like we're 9 months in, that's as much as we can give. And, you may be a mom who has multiples and you're years and years ahead of us. And um, this feeling is familiar or this feeling you never experienced, or, you could be laughing and saying, just wait, or you can say, wow, whatever it may be. But I think one of the things that I've experienced personally, and I can kind of pick from the comment that you just made of what do I want to invest myself into? I think it becomes such a hard conversation when you become a mother is you have to think about what am I sacrificing for the betterment of my kids and what am I sacrificing for the betterment of myself? And then obviously there's additional ones of the betterment to be a better spouse, betterment to be a better daughter, a better friend, all those additional things. But it's hard in parenthood of knowing that fine line. And that
Mm-hmm.
fine line becomes really overwhelming and it becomes very stressful. And sometimes there's guilt attached to it. I know everyone talks about mom guilt a lot, but then it's also like, then you watch yourself spiral because then you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And I think, especially in a working position that you're in a 9 to 5, or it's corporate, you have an HR, you have people you report to. They're obviously reporting to someone else, or your reports are making their livelihood. So they're not as much concerned with how you're doing. They're concerned with your output. And so that point of, okay, where am I sacrificing? Am I sacrificing for my output so someone can make a bigger buck? Am I sacrificing my output so my kids can, have a great day? Where am I sacrificing myself? And then how do I even know to take care of myself?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm curious, like with a twin mom and then also just being a mom, where have you learned to like, are you learning knowing of like, wow, I really need this, or I don't do that, or like, did any of those things come up in your mind today of like, wow, I look at my life? I know you kind of said earlier on the phone, and we're referencing on the phone because Ari and I we talk a lot throughout the week and stuff like that, but we were talking earlier today kind of about this, and she was saying, oh, my life is just consumed with work. And so yeah, have you like thought about how much you're sacrificing for so many other things and not yourself?
Yeah. And I think this is truly where there's mom guilt and there's I want to be a a great partner to my husband.
Mm.
And so it's navigating like how can I do that? Like it's just there are things I leave the house for, like for myself. Like I get my eyelashes done. I get my hair done. Things like that. Where I want to take it to the next level is like how do I recognize myself again?
Mm.
Um I used to do a ton of workout classes. I love like the variety of switching things up. But because of the diastasis, I kind of had to slowly come back to working out, or be very, very aware of it. Just because a lot of the classes that I was doing, the coaches aren't specifically trained in that area. And so it leaves room for injury and just prolonged injury. So I prioritize physical therapy over that. Um, but I think there are areas where I need to evaluate, is this a better use of my time? Like, is scrolling TikTok for however long a better use of my time, or actually saying and scheduling, I'm going to a class at this time so that I can come back it's so counterintuitive. But I always say you can't pour from an empty cup, but you can't like be the best mom unless you're showing up for yourself. And that is like something that is a hard pill to swallow at this point.
Yeah. Well, it's hard because it means you're either getting less sleep or it's less convenient or you're sacrificing still in whatever it looks like.
It's less time with the kids too, potentially.
Yeah. It's
Because when they don't
all
have a set schedule right now, it's like, doesn't mean you can just wake up early before they wake up. It's like, well, when they're waking up at 5, am I really going to wake up at like 3:30 to do a workout at 4 a.m.?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I totally relate. It's interesting. I so this type of feeling and everything is very familiar for me. Um, Backstory on my mental health, have a lot of family history with it. Sister, brother, mother, all have been on medication. I was in a car accident in 2019. I was parked in traffic on the 5 freeway, which that doesn't matter to whoever's listening and not in California. But it was raining in California, which is really rare, and a car hit me from behind going 65 miles per hour. My airbags didn't go off. I slammed the front steering wheel. I went unconscious, came back to, and suffered a traumatic brain injury. That traumatic brain injury, my neurologist was just working with pain management. So I had a pretty severe, obviously, brain injury. And we were just working on me not having migraines daily. I had short term memory loss, I had vertigo, I had all this type of stuff. And one of the things that was never addressed in my initial recovery was actually talking about my mental health aspect of it. So I went through a whole year of trying to figure out how to help my head and was giving myself shots every week, Botox, different meds, muscle relaxers, everything you could think of. Was out of work for 2 months. So much stuff. And then finally, I had a mental break and I went to what's called an IOP, which is an intensive outpatient program, after I really realized I needed some help. And there I was going to therapy 5 days a week, 3 hours a day. So I was going to 15 hours of therapy a week. And I learned so much language that I had never been taught my entire life. I came from a household that was not very emotionally intelligent. And so my family, we'd have big things, you throw it under the rug, you don't bring it up. I like a very continual habit that how I process my emotions, what I would keep things in. And then every 3 to 4 months, I would have a massive blow up and you'd hear everything that ever hurt me or bothered me or whatever. And then after the blow up, I'd be totally fine and be like, all right, let's move on. Very, very unhealthy. So in this IOP was learning essentially this group therapy, and then you see an individual therapist. I was learning so much about how impacted we are about our environments, internal dialogue, how much our internal dialogue does so much, coping skills, so on and so forth. I then ended up having another second mental break. This also factors were due to a very toxic marriage that I'm currently going through a divorce with. But it was the first time I ever had suicidal ideation, and it scared me really bad. Had never thought about hurting myself or anything like that ever before. And yeah, called my dad, really freaked out, being like, I've never thought like this. I went to the closest hospital because it was like on a Friday night. I was going to an event in LA, like this big thing. And if you go to a hospital saying that you have suicidal ideation, they're going to 5150 you. Yeah. And if you don't know what a 5150 is you essentially become
You're a psych hold.
Yeah, it's a psychiatric hold for 72 hours. We'll talk about that some other episode. But through the craziness of that, I was able to then go to, after that, I drove home to Idaho and I went to a 3-month brain therapy program. And during those 3 months, I was at a PHP, which is called a partial hospitalization program. And I was going to therapy 30 hours a week. So I went from therapy from 15 hours a week to 30 hours a week. And then on my lunch and after, I would go to my physical therapist, which was working on my cognitive function to help with my brain. So all of this really taught me a lot about the brain and understanding it and understanding the effects internally on what things have coming. So, coming into my pregnancy, my support team knew that when I was pregnant and going into postpartum that I really needed to have a system in place and to start actually looking for exactly what you're talking about right now. So, one of the things, which is how the collective came to be, is I knew I needed to get myself outside every single day. And so, from almost the moment Lincoln was born, I was going on some form of walk every single day to at least get some sunshine on my skin, because I knew that I had a really great risk to experience severe symptoms of both postpartum anxiety and depression. So I'm really thankful that I got to have these conversations before. Like, super bummer that it came from a place of having deep, deep times previously. But I'm curious, is this, because I don't know this about Ari, and so I'm learning this as you guys are, but have you experienced anxiety or depression before, or this would be the first time?
So I don't think, to my knowledge, I had ever experienced depression or anxiety before. When I was going to my doctor's offices, though, there was a bathroom in our, there were several bathrooms, but there was one bathroom in particular in our office that had a big poster saying that postpartum depression and anxiety could hit while you're pregnant. And I had never heard that before. I'd only heard of it happening after. And honestly, because of not really experiencing it prior, I really didn't think that I would potentially have it. But near the end of my pregnancy, I started getting more anxiety than I'd ever experienced because I was carrying two and I was really nervous that I was going to lose one.
Mm.
And so it started to like feed into things, or like, how are we going to do this with two? you know?
Yeah.
So I became more aware of it, and because I was aware of it, I started to talk to my doctors more about like what options I had. And it's really unfortunate down here. The psychiatric help that you can get is very impacted currently in our area. It
Yeah.
takes 3 months to get in. So they prefer that you get on medication before you even see somebody.
Literally. So when I was 5150'd, I was taken in an ambulance 2.5 hours away to the closest hospital that had an open facility, and it was in the ghetto. Like, I'm not going to name the city, but like, it was in the ghetto, and it's essentially like a money machine. So like, didn't care about anything. They instantly just put you on meds. Most of the people there got 5250, which means you're there for another 14-day hold. And then you can petition to court to get released early. Otherwise, they just get to bill your insurance for another 2 weeks. We ended up getting a lawyer involved to get out. And the reason why I went to the hospital that night anyway is because, well, it was a Friday night and my psychologist wasn't available. But even then, like, they don't have those like emergency like you can call our facility, like they just send you straight to, we'll stop your symptoms with meds, and then we'll let you talk, type of deal.
Well, it's either that or they strap you to a bed and you don't have a room and you're in a hallway. The work that I do actually recognized this as a problem and then offered like telepsychiatry in our ERs
Wow.
to avoid these types of scenarios. Because what makes a person go more crazy?
Oh,
Like, is
again,
it really going to help somebody if they're being strapped to a bed
I will
and like
have,
medicated? You told me
dude,
your stories and
dude.
I need to hear more, but that's for another day.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is even too that your OB, that was her first line of defense, and that's what makes me kind of bummed. Is like, oh, like even just simple things of like recommending diet, of
Mm-hmm.
like, let's add some, like, let's check your nutrition right now, let's try to put some energy boosting foods into your daily routine. um how are you sleeping? Let's look at some of your sleep patterns. How can we change your sleep cycle? um and that's even crazy that she's like, well, that would have been her first line of defense with medication, and then talk therapy, and then
Yeah.
things after that. Um, but keep going on. That was kind of like your first conversation into it. Now, when you had the twins, did you ever get baby blues or anything?
So there probably was, because there would be times that I would just cry in those first 2 weeks. Just with like latching and like really wanting to have a bond with both babies. It's just different. So you're almost, as a twin mom, at least for my scenario, I almost mourned, even though I was so happy to have two healthy babies. I do not want people to take that as I was ungrateful. You do go through a sense of mourning of, I wish I could give all my attention to one baby right now. And
Wow.
how am I going to be the best mom if I have to divide my attention to these two innocent babies that deserve everything?
Hmm.
So, yes, I probably did deal with baby blues. Was it intense? No. I think I would like kind of I would work through it. Just talking to my husband. Um, and then there did come a point, like, because I put my name on the list to talk to a therapist. And so there came a point where like there was now availability after a 3 or 4 month wait. And so I talked to a therapist for probably a month, 2 months, once a week. And it was nice. I felt like I was like kind of uncovering some things that were um in my childhood.
Yeah.
Um and you guys, sorry, sometimes we have to accommodate for our children. And so currently, Jamie is nursing Mr. Lincoln. What a boss mom.
We're making it
Nursing
work.
while podcasting.
We're
Pro.
making it work.
Yeah, I like it. So I had been trying to not get to this place, essentially, is like
Hmm.
being hyper aware of how I was feeling, making sure I was calling things out to my husband as I was feeling them, and maybe he couldn't see what was going on. Some husbands are like very attuned to like when their wife is like maybe slipping into postpartum depression. I have friends that, their husbands have said, like, I think you need to like go get help. Um, I do consider myself like very high functioning, whether that's a high functioning whatever, but like, so I can hide a lot of how I'm feeling based on just like producing things. Um,
Yeah.
I like to produce, like I like to work. I like to like have a work in my life. It brings me fulfillment. And so I also just want to touch on this because I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but because I'm sharing, I'm just going to do it. Um, I do think that sometimes when it comes to having a strong mindset, having like grit and mental fortitude and things like that, we can question if like we're being weak because we're experiencing this. Or we can, if we have a faith, we can question, am I not putting my faith in whatever I believe? In my case, that's God, enough where now I'm like experiencing this like anxiety and depression, and I don't have the pretty answer for you. But it is like these thoughts are what's going through my head currently. Like, am I not trusting God enough? Am I not pushing through enough? Am I weak because I'm feeling this way? And it sucks because I honestly think that like if a friend came to me and shared with me what I was feeling right now, I wouldn't see them as weak.
Yeah.
You guys, this is a very different episode than last week when we were crying, laughing. This week is just crying.
Do I have permission to speak to that?
Yes.
That's how I see you. I'm always in awe of who you are all the time. I genuinely don't know how you do it. Why do you feel that about yourself? And I know that's what you're trying to discover right now. And maybe this goes into deeper things that maybe you talked about with your therapist before. But was there a time, probably before even having kids, before even getting married, where weakness was negative or trials were negative? Or do you feel like maybe society and the culture that you grew up in looked at those things as negative? I say this because it's really interesting, and I know you're into these different types of authors and thought processes as well. But in a lot of kind of those mindset self-help books and industry, people always look at like there's one of them says like fail forward, like failing's a good thing, or getting rejected 100 times before you get a first success or something like that. And they look at trials and tribulations as a positive thing. And it's just interesting because we're our hardest critics, and somewhere you started criticizing yourself far before becoming a mom. And one thing that I think like I'm a firm believer in, and this is again just my opinion, but motherhood is the most purification process next to being with a partner. And it's purifying the filth from us so that our kids don't have to experience it. And so want to say to you first and again, I'm in awe of you. You're not weak. You're one of the most powerful, brilliant, bright, sharp, witty, fun women that I know. And am just curious if you can think of something that would resonate with a lot of people that maybe of why you're being so hard on yourself.
So I would definitely start with I'm still uncovering what led to this. What shaped me to be this way. I will share like some of my reflections that I've had on this. And I know that something I constantly need to be aware of for myself when I get into these situations is, am I chasing perfection? Am I chasing an image that I want others to perceive me as, rather than just doing what is right for myself?
Can you speak on that? Like go after the performance perfection image. I think the biggest driving factor right now is social media. Of now everyone can see your junk.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said this to me before, and I don't remember who it was, but before, when you graduated high school, you wouldn't know what your classmates were doing until your 10-year high school reunion. And then everyone would come together and you'd be like, what'd you do the last 10 years? You know, start a family, you get married, you get a job, travel, what, you know, all this type of stuff. Now you graduate and you see what they have for breakfast the next morning. You know?
That's true. That's true. Thank God for TikTok though, because Instagram went down the perfection, like filter everything. TikTok
Mm-hmm.
is starting to lead that way in some cases, but it is still more in the raw phase right now. Um, but I think when it comes to chasing perfectionism, part of that is like I am the first child. So I was held to like a different standard than I think my siblings were growing
Interesting.
up. Which is fine. Like there's part of it that I'm like very grateful for. Like this is where part of my reflections come into play is like we we started to use these things, perfectionism, whatever it is, to protect ourselves
Yeah.
from certain things as we were young. So when you're a child, we take on these what I call or what I think my dad read a book or something and was sharing this with me when I was younger. Like we take these things on to protect ourselves because we were a child and we couldn't actually protect ourselves.
Yeah.
But now as adults, we can protect ourselves, whether that be with boundaries or just physically removing ourselves from situations and people. But we still hold on to these things because they're almost ingrained in us and it's intentionality that it will take to pull them out. So before they were protectors and now they're monsters in our life.
Mm,
Um
dang.
yeah. So I think there's so much of that. I think yeah, there's social media. I think I also thrive on I thrive when I'm like working, producing. Like I just don't want to be average. Like that's kind of what scares me is to just be average. And that is totally okay if you want to be average. To me, for whatever reason, and then maybe that's something I need to uncover more is like I'm terrified of that. I don't want to set that example for my children. I want them when I say you can chase your dreams, I want it to be because they saw me chase my dreams too.
Yeah.
Like I want to model behavior for them. I want to model certain things. And so I think it's almost amplified now with children in the picture. But
Interesting.
it comes with its own things too.
Yeah.
Interesting, I say children as a child just pops their head up. Is he sleeping?
Yeah, he's asleep now.
Oh.
You guys don't know it's almost 10 p.m. when we're podcasting right now, so it's a little like 3 hours past his bedtime. As he snorts into the mic.
Oh.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's super relatable about what you said, even just the fact of like, I don't want to be average. But then this is where I go deep into then like the holes of bunny trails and everything. What's average? What's normal? What's successful? Where like some people have a scale from physical things, some people have a scale of internal things, some people have this and that, and you know, and it then goes down onto the deep things, and then it goes to really what does an average person mean to you? And I don't want you to describe it right now because I don't want to create any structures that a mom may be listening to and stuff like that. But I think it is really interesting of like just that standard that you have, which I think
Mm-hmm.
again is a curse and a blessing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think that's why life is not black and white.
Yeah.
We live in the gray, and we have to navigate what gray are we in. And
Yeah, I
that may be.
hate the gray, to be honest. I do. I'm a black and white girl. But you're right. Like life isn't black or white. There's so much in between. So like in this in between, sorry, I keep asking you a lot of questions, but this is just really fresh for you. So in the in between, um, how do you want to start to uncover it? Like I know we don't really have any, it's fresh, it's today. It's like, oh my gosh, I just realized I'm overwhelmed, I'm run down, I am everything's catching up with me and it's all coming out in ways of tears and deep breaths and exhaustion and all of that. I think it would be cool. I mean, I say it's cool, but like if you can describe some like physical symptoms that
Mm,
you're experiencing, because I think a lot of moms are like, well, I don't know if I have it or not, or I don't know what that feels like, especially for someone who's never dealt with anxiety or depression before. Like, I remember the first time I ever had a panic attack. Um, I thought I was having a heart attack. I literally went to the hospital thinking I had a heart attack, and they did an EKG and everything, and it ended up just being a panic attack. So, yeah, I
what did
think
it feel like?
it feels like you're having a heart attack. Like,
Like, did it feel like your heart was like it was like getting tight?
like tight chest, can't breathe, one arm goes numb. Um, you
Wow.
literally feel like you're dying. Like you feel like you're having a heart attack. Like,
Yeah.
and it comes, and it's not like anything was leading up for it. It's just your body was under so much anxiety. It just like shocks itself.
Yeah.
Um, so I think even
Yeah.
I'm curious what physical things you're experiencing that might resonate with some moms.
I'd say for me, it is a little bit of brain fog, which,
Mm.
when we're going through this, we call it like mom brain. And it's like having these more intense highs and lows than what I'm used to. I'm pretty even keeled. And so to like go from like being very high functioning, like holding a conversation, to then crying, like that's not normal for me. Um, and like literally I was talking to my husband saying like I don't feel like myself, bawling, crying, to then okay, like yeah, you should go to LA, you should do this. Yes. That's not normal. Um it's almost feeling in some cases numb,
Mm.
like you're just frozen with paralysis of like maybe not paralysis as in physical paralysis, but like what do I do to move forward? And I am the person that does like to like take action right away. I don't like just sitting in this. So thank God I had a call already scheduled with our friend McCall.
Shout out McCall, 2 weeks in a row.
What'd you say?
This is the second shout out she's gotten. She better be
I told
listening.
her. I told her she's famous. She's
She is.
famous. She's coming into the podcast. Maybe we'll have her on one time.
That's a good idea.
Um yeah, so I had a call with her, and I think what she has done in her life has like been really great at time blocking and really owning her schedule to then own her life.
Mm.
And I used to time block. Things hit the fan and I had to like reprioritize what I could do. But now I'm at the point where like there are so many things I want to accomplish, so many things that I want to do, that we are bringing structure back in. And that's like kind of a follow up to the getting our shit together episode. So that's how I'm kind of feeling physically right now. Um,
No, I
this
think that's
episode, I feel like we should probably just cut off here and we'll revisit this. I think this is going to be almost like a multi-part series, just like check-ins, and probably bringing on a specialist too to help guide us through and help give you guys resources. I do want to make myself available though. Like if you're feeling like this, just know you're not alone and you can reach out to me. Like that's why we're doing this, honestly, like is to be that resource for you, to be available to you, that you're not alone in how you're feeling, whether it's the funny things that we say, the crazy things that we say, or the tough things that we're experiencing. So,
Yeah. And we just really, I'm just going to piggyback off Ari. Like, this isn't taboo. Like, this, if you're a mom listening to this and someone may have said phrases of like, well, welcome to motherhood, or, you know, like, welcome to life, like, you got a baby, or something like that. Like, these things we really do want to take seriously and really do want to recognize and encourage you guys to get help. We want to be the best that we can, but we also want to encourage to get any professional help that could really walk you through what you're really needing. But in the meantime, if you're looking for community to be around, that is why we started the collective. That is why we are here, whether it's for our podcast or for, you know, going to one of our walks. So if you're listening to this and like, you know what, I just need to get out of the house, I need to have a reason to get out of the house. Go to momwalkcollective.com, find a walk near you, register. Because I know for me, sometimes I need to commit to something. It's like ClassPass when you like book a class, and if you don't show, it's $15. Everything's free for us, but if you need to have that like commitment sticker done, register for your walk and, you know, share with your host. All of our ambassador moms are here to serve you and they're here to be a resource for you. And so feel
I want to
free.
close with something actually.
Okay. Feel
Because
free. Oh, I'll just say this real fast. Feel free to message the host in your city. So if you go to their Instagram page and say, hey, you know, I've been walking through some postpartum mental health. It's a really big deal for me to come to this walk. I really want to be here, but letting you know it's really hard for me. Just want to give you a heads up to take a look out for me. I'm going to make my best to be there. All of our hosts and ambassadors would love to be able to give you a great experience. So knowing if going to one of those walks is scary or you haven't made it out of the house due to postpartum depression, it's a really safe place for you to start working through your mental health. So feel free to end it, Ari.
okay. Well, if you want a little glimpse of what coming to our walks can be like sometimes, a friend texted me this as a reminder of how she felt after leaving one of our walks. She's like, I've never been in an environment where you meet someone for the first time. And you're like, hi, my name is, I'll say Ari. Have you done a walk before? Do your nipples hurt? How's your vagina recovery going? And have it be perfectly normal. So our walks are a safe place for you to walk through motherhood, to talk through the uncomfortable things, and to create your village. So we love you guys. We love you, Mama.
We
Have an
love you,
amazing
Mama.
week, and we will provide updates soon.
We love you.